If you ever watch Family Guy, you heard this quote from my main man, Peter Griffin, goes like this.
You know what really grinds my gears?
One word. Anxiety. It's annoying as fuck, you know what I'm saying? It's like a constant pest that always be on your side whenever life makes you world go upside down, like everything goes from good and then to bad, like one bad thing goes wrong or having a bad day or a bad week. It makes you think the worst will happen in the future. Sometimes anxiety makes you become the person that you will despise. You conflict with darkness, like I said before, and you can't really see what you're aiming for. Like you become completely lost in the dark woods or in a dark cave. You need some light. You need some clarity. I have a guest here who is very close to my family. She is a person who has a heart of grace, courage to take on activity in her life, and always keep a smile on her face. Photographer and graphic designer, Carrise Samuel. All right, Carisse, thank you for being on this segment. Can you hear me?
Hi, no problem. Thank you for having me.
All right. I wanted to talk about finding the clearness from anxiety, and I got like a few questions. Has anxiety makes you become the person that you hate? Like, how do you overcome it?
Well, for me, I had anxiety all the way back in high school, and it affected me so much that I would get physically ill before exams, so I wasn't able to take exams. I would have to go get a doctor's note and then take my exams by myself. It really affected my self-confidence, and it was something that was really hard to deal with on my own. And so my mom and I were talking, like, this isn't getting any better. And it was my last year of high school, and I was starting university the next year. And we were talking and we were discussing, this has to get handled now because it can only get worse in university, where I would be even more stressed out and have more anxiety. So my mom did put me into therapy, and therapy was honestly the best thing that ever happened to me. After I would say about 4 or 5 months in therapy, all the symptoms that I would get of having anxiety, which the main symptom was like getting physically ill, and they were all gone. And I realized there was a lot of things that I was suppressing from my childhood, and that was affecting me today, and it came back in the form of anxiety. And talking to someone, in my case, was very important. It's a great outlet. And some other things that I did to deal with my anxiety was writing out my feelings and trying to decode, why am I feeling this way, like right in this second, like what's making me feel this way. I'm trying to find out the main reason or the main cause for my anxiety. So writing, talking to someone, those are the two things that really helped me with my anxiety. Because it really affected me in my performance in school. When we had presentations, I would feel like I would want to faint. It was so bad. And I was like, I was at the point in high school, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want this to control me for the rest of my life. And in my last year of high school, I decided that I was going to go into business. I was going to study business, and being a business person, you have to pitch ideas. You have to constantly, talk to people. And so I was like, you know what? I really need to get this under control. So I was really happy that for me, therapy and writing really helped me control my anxiety.
Nah, I feel anxiety can, affect you based on childhood, and it could be like a haunted memory when you reach adulthood. Like for me, I try to pretend to be something I'm not, just to impress people, like just to get people to like me, because like I'm, as you know, that I'm a very quiet and introverted person, and it's kind of tough, being part of the crowd. Like you want to be part of the crowd, and like you pretend to be something that you're not, and it takes a worse turn, and it affects you on, taking confidence for yourself. It affects,
and socially and socially it can really affect you. Yeah.
no, especially true, socially around with others, and make you feel like you're in an awkward place. And no, go on.
Yeah, one thing, now that I'm thinking about it, a problem that I had, since I was a kid, was interacting with kids my age. I'm an only child, so from a young age, I was always surrounded by adults. So, like, the best way I could explain this is, like, if I was in a room, if I had to choose to be in a room of 50 kids my age, or 50 teens at the time, or a room of 50 adults, I would pick the adults, like, slam down. So that was a big issue that stemmed from my childhood, was like I wasn't around kids, and being around kids my age made me really nervous, so that also affected my anxiety. And going through therapy, that's something that I found out about myself, and I was like, my therapist told me this. I was like, that's so true. Like, when I'm around kids my age, I get so nervous. I climb up, and I don't know what to say. But when I'm around adults, like, oh my gosh, it's like nothing, just fluid, So that was something that I found that was odd, but like something that really did affect me.
No, I feel you, because like you're scared of what they're gonna say. They might say something that make fun of you, or they look at you like, oh, what this person saying? You see you're bored or something like that. Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah. It. I mean, I'll be real with you, Carisse. I got brothers and sisters. Some people say I'm mature for my age, and I kind of take it as a downer. Like, I do fun things, but some responsibilities, sometimes I have to worry about the little things, and it takes the fun out of me. And like, it doesn't, it kind of like made me lose expression of what I'm feeling, how I share my feelings towards others. And it's kind of like a down thing that I'm trying to fix, like, each day. Yeah.
Like, you had to grow up really fast, so it's kind of hard to people to see you as mature, but you also want to be, hey guys, I'm actually, I'm fun too. Like, I'm not just, quiet and stuff. Like breaking that barrier is kind of hard sometimes after like years and years of doing that.
I'm like screaming, so I said, I am fun too. Like, come on, I'm fun too.
I know jokes.
Yeah, I got another question. Do you know any ways when you want to, clear your mind? That's, if you have like, turmoil of darkness.
So I find that when I'm like in a state of like turmoil and for me, what helps me the most is just to like quiet my mind. Just go into a space where there are no distractions, and just peace and quiet really helps, because it really helps me to break things down and question things like, why am I feeling this way? What can I do to make things better? And if I find that I need help with answering these questions, and I'll talk to someone like my mom, bounce questions off of her, or I do therapy still, and so I would like talk to my therapist or my friends. You know, I first start with myself, and then I go outward, and I talk to other people, because it's really good to get other people's like their takes and stuff, their perspectives, and sometimes they make you, like, especially talking to my mom, makes me think about things differently. So I really try to just think things out, take time for myself, and take time away from distractions, because it's so easy to be distracted in this world with like all the entertainment and stuff, that sometimes you can lose track of what makes you happy. And in that case, I think sometimes you really have to take time for yourself, and I think quiet time really helps me if I'm feeling really down or sad. Yes.
Nah, you done what you told me. It's like the most rightful way to do. If you have problems, you need to share it to the people that are close to you, friends that you really trust, your family, of course. I mean, you did taught me a lesson, because when have like, you know, a turmoil of darkness inside my mind, like so much rage and sadness, I literally shut everybody else out. Just stay in my room, lie down, and just, you know, try to sleep it off, or, you know, put on my Google mic and say just play some lo-fi just to calm my ass down. But it kind of like, you know, having a lot of things inside of you can, you know, bring some hurt, and you need to share that out. You need to speak it out, and you can speak out to God, like it's just you and God, like one-on-one. I mean, I don't know if he will listen or respond, but he'll show me the answer, but I have to find it.
Yeah, you know, like I wasn't always this way. It was always like from a child, I always kept things to myself. And that's one of the things that my mom and I used to fight about all the time. She's like, you never say how you feel, and then you just get upset, and then you're fine, and then I never know, you know, what's going on with you. And it wasn't until I started therapy that I found that I didn't want to. I always felt like as a child that if I were to ask for help, that I was being a burden, and I didn't want to be a burden to my friends, because I felt like, you know, they probably have things that they're dealing with, and they don't need my problems on top of that. But then after going to therapy, I realized, you know, everyone has problems, and, you know, it's okay to ask for help. And that took me a long time to understand that it's okay to ask for help. You don't always have to be the tough person, because personally, I'm not really good at showing or talking about emotions. I used to be like, ew, let's not talk about that.
Yeah.
You know, but it took a lot of time, and it takes strength to ask for help. It's much easier to just bottle things inside. But the hardest thing and the first step is to ask for help. And, you know, sometimes, like, by asking my friends for help or just talking to them and venting, it really helped me put new perspectives on my personal problems, and it was just a good relief, and it made the bond between my friends and I even stronger. So a lot of benefits, more benefits in my opinion, for asking for help than just, dealing with things on my own.
Yeah, I think part of it is just stubbornness. It's a funny thing.
Culture too, right? No one, especially in our culture, being from the Caribbean, no one talks about their feelings. Like, no one talks, like, my mom, like, I've never seen my mom cry. Even at my mom's close sister's funeral, I didn't see her cry. I have never seen my mom cry. I never see my dad cry. Like, I find in our culture, all we see is either anger or happiness, and then that's it. And and therapy is like kind of like taboo in a way. Like, no one talks about therapy or feelings. So I think all of that from childhood, it's a cycle that we have to break, and it's hard to do at first, but sometimes you need help, and in my case, help was therapy.
Yeah, but I think, like, going back to the stubbornness thing, it's kind of like the funny thing, we have to express it. Like, I don't know why. It's just that we're like, we just pretend to be like superhero. We help others. When others ask us for help, he's like, oh no, I'm good, don't worry about me. And like, I think that we can't let that, affect us. I thought when you said, like, it's when you said about culture, I thought you were talking about, like, us black people, or like, our families are from the West Indian Island, Station. But like, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes, no, you're right. Even just like, I find that, like, as a people, mental illness isn't really talked about or expressed.
Right.
At least while I was growing up. Maybe now it's a bit better. But growing up, no one talked about feelings or how that would affect you. And it was something that I had to discover while I was in therapy. It took therapy for me to understand that, and how, basically as a child, I didn't really feel like I could express myself. Because, like, for example, when I was in therapy, talking about when you get in trouble, being black, you get licks, right? And what happens when you cry? They say you get either more licks, or they say, if you cry, I'm going to give you something to cry about, So, like, even though it's something that's so small, that does affect you, because then you're not able to express your feelings at that age, as like a 5-year-old, even though you're in the wrong, but you're not able to, at that age, you're taught to hold in your feelings, even though it's something as simple as that, and that really affects you growing up.
Right. Yeah. Pride. I've heard the word pride, right? I think that's where we as people take advantage of it, and sometimes it makes us do some crazy dumb thing, but it kind of, like, make us to push forward and not to give up. You agree with that or not?
And I do agree with that. I think I don't think before, like, years and decades before, we as people could really show our emotions. I think we had to be tough for each other because of all the things that we went through. And when you talk about pride, I understand what you mean, because it's kind of, I don't know, maybe from the male perspective, like men in society are supposed to be like strong and leaders, and if you show emotion, you show weakness, right? And I think that, you know, I personally, I don't feel like I have to deal with that like guys do, because girls, if you show emotion, it's kind of expected of us. You know, we're the emotional counterparts.
Right.
So I understand what you mean that about like pride. It's kind of hard with pride to be able to show any emotion.
Right. Yeah. And I did the last segment on, you know, respect yourself. I talked about, you know, how ladies like yourself are queens. Like you have to remember you can dominate anything that is around you as you walk your path to greatness and able to take charge. And I said to myself, a man like myself will bow to the people like the queens like that, who, like, you know, not just because they have the makeup and the fancy dress. I bow to them because their maturity, they're not being childish or being themselves. And to be bold and fierce and let people know that she's the boss, and have the look saying, "Nah, honey, you can't touch this." Yeah. And
sometimes we have to remember that we're queens, you know, or kings and stuff, because with society's terms, you know, we're just other, you know?
Yeah. I want to talk to you about my third question. You know, blind spots. Depression can make you blind. Like, you know, it kind of like you have like a static blur for your future, and like you don't know what to do. You're lost.
Yeah, you feel like hopeless, and you can't put things in perspective, and you feel like some major blind spots that I've seen in friends who have depression is like no hope, like they can't see beyond this one issue, or they can't see hope or light at the end of the tunnel, you know, of this one like major problem. And that is really hard to deal with. I think, again, to deal with something like that, like the blind spots, one would be, I'm religious, so prayer, you know, meditating, because blind spots are really hard to overcome by yourself, because you feel this hopelessness.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a really big part of depression that I've seen in friends and have close to having. For example, I had a brain injury 2016, and in 2017 when I woke up from my brain injury, you know, I was like confused, and I did get depressed.
You told me
that time recovery, because I lost my ovaries.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, as a woman, that's like one of the things that like you define yourself as being able to have kids. So
right.
I felt a lot of hopelessness, and like, what am I going to do when I'm older? How am I going to find a partner who's just going to want me for me? Like,
right.
I don't have anything to offer, you know?
Right.
That's one of the things I felt like I had to offer. So there's a lot of, I think hopelessness is a big part and a big blind spot that can prevent you from overcoming depression.
Right.
And so again, I think like in my case, because I'm religious again, meditating, prayer, and talking to people who feel the same way you do. Going to groups, therapy groups, or just finding a therapist that understands you. Yeah.
Right. Do you ever felt that, those blind spots during when the world stopped? Like, a lot of people felt that when they had to, like, be locked down indoors, and millions lost their jobs, and they had to, like, network, remote networking, and they don't know what to do, and their businesses were lost, and the economy, went down. You ever went through that?
Well, during quarantine, I was still in school. I can't even imagine, because personally, I don't think I was as affected when it comes to, let's say like losing a job, or having this responsibility to like keep your family afloat, and not knowing what to do.
Right.
Because I was blessed enough to have my mom, who is a nurse, who's working to help provide for me, and but I can only imagine. I think because my friends and I are very privileged,
right,
that we have family that can help us out during a time like this. So one thing that has affected, I think, some of my friends and I, is our mental health. Like being by yourself for so long, it really can take a toll on you. Being in the same space, same people. For example, like I've never spent this much time with my mom.
Right.
I was like living on my own by myself, but because of quarantine, I moved back home, and that was such a big adjustment. And I know a lot of my friends had to do the same, and that was a big adjustment for them. And it's kind of hard being in the same space as one person. You could fight and argue and stuff. So that has been a challenge during this quarantine. But I can only imagine like how hard it is for people, especially single parents, who lost their jobs during this, and then small businesses too, people losing their livelihoods, small businesses, and now they have to figure out a way to provide for their family. I can't imagine what that must be like.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, I know millions of people all over the world are going. So, yeah, that in itself, that's a really hard thing to even imagine, to be honest.
Well, two things. I'm kind of like, a little bit jealous. One, you had your own place. You had your own place, and I know you had to move back. I mean, I'm still crashing in my parents' house. I was trying to find my own place, but when 2020 happened, shit got turned backwards. Two, I kind of had to work during the pandemic, and the thing is this though, besides my mom, most of my family was not working, and I have to help to provide. I had to do the essential needs, and it was rough. It was really, really rough, because the thing is this though, I told myself I finished school. I was supposed to find some new job and all that, and everything went to shit at the time, and I was in depression mode, and really did not want to at the time with customers and retail things, and it was just bringing me down. I felt like faith let me down, and I told myself I can't think that bad thing, the bad things inside my mind. I told myself I can't quit. Yeah. there's a quote like, life is queer, it's twisted, and it turns. And as every one of us sometimes learn, like, at many failures to us, in and out, we might have not won, but we gotta stick out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Can
What I like to think is that when you're at the bottom, the only way is to go up. That always gets me through. Anything's like, nothing can get worse. Well, it can get worse, but the only way to go from here is up, you know?
right?
Yeah.
Can
And I think a lot of people can relate to you because, like, I have friends who, well, I know people who, you know, they have to be breadwinners in their family. They can't, you know, it takes away from them building their life and trying to concentrate on what they want to do with their life or get a job that they want to do to further their career. And I think that's, you know, that's really hard, especially in a time like in the time that we're in now. A lot of people have to put their dreams and their careers on the, you know, backhand and have to do what they think is right, and which is to help provide for their families. So I think a lot of people can relate to that. Yeah, but I think what we can do is always, you know, at the same time is look at, I guess, kind of like prepare for like what's gonna happen afterwards, and just hope that, you know, this pandemic ends soon, and, you know, just hope for the best, I guess, at this point. Because we're at a time, I think, where a lot of people realize that, you know, we're not in control as we think we are.
right.
And sometimes you have to let go of not being in control. And in my case, for me, the only person that can control anything is God. And with God, I think that you can get through anything. And just trusting that He's in control and just letting go of control and just being like, you know what, God, I know you got this. I know I'm not in control, and, you know, I'm gonna get through this.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to ask you something. Your mom told me that you wrote a poem that's really touched. What's the name of it?
Oh, okay, so I decided to take a creative writing class, and for the first class, we had to do a prompt, and the prompt was "I am from." So we had like 5 minutes, and we had to write a poem where the theme is "I am from," and I wrote a poem, and everyone liked it. And I haven't done creative writing since I was like in high school. Kind of put it on the back burner. So my mom really liked it, and so yeah. So that's where it came from.
Do you mind sharing it?
Yeah, yes. Okay. So the poem is called "I Am From," and it goes like this. I am from royalty, rulers of kingdoms and nations, the forgotten texts in our history books. I am from the chained, bloody, and downtrodden, but never forgotten. I am from the tears of freedom and screams of hallelujah, whose bloodlines trickle through my veins. I'm from privilege and a farmer's daughter. I am from ivory beaches and crystal waters. I am from a vibrant culture with the potency of greatness. I am from the hymns of struggle and hymns of praise. I am from a single mother. I am a product of love that once was. I am my father's laughter and my mother's smile. I am from sun-kissed skin and eyes of amber. I am from the hope of what's to come and the strength to persevere. And that is it.
That was beautiful. And
Thank you.
it kind of like, brings the light from the darkness. Like, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you're out there and listening, you're from exceptional people and exceptional things that made you, and you could do anything.
Yeah, I feel like what came to me when I was thinking I was thinking, as Black people, we don't know exactly our ancestors. We can only guess. But I feel like, we once ruled kingdoms and nations and we were rulers, and that's not something that we're necessarily taught today. We just, in America especially, growing up there, all we focused on was just how we were slaves and how we are still overcoming that. And I feel like we have to also remember, we weren't always just slaves. We were more than just slaves. And even though we come from slaves, we come from strength, and that's something that I wanted to highlight in my poem, was that from the transition of going from being kings and queens and rulers, we became slaves, but we also became free, and we have the strength to persevere, and we have the strength to go on because our ancestors did. So that's what I wanted to come across in my poem.
And you did. You have.
Thank
and
you.
And like your mom said, you gotta get that published.
Yeah, I'm working on that.
Yeah, like that's have to be a quote for everybody that want to start their day right, and also who are in time of trouble, like if they feel broken or lost or they've been defeated.
Yeah, you have strength, going through your veins. You have the strength to go. We overcame as a people, African American or Afro-Caribbean, being West Indian, we overcame so much in the last, century or 2 centuries, and I think people should understand that, we all have the strength inside of us if we're willing to look within, and all of us can overcome anything that we put our minds to.
Absolutely. Carrise, thank you so much for being on this segment.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, like, thank you for calling from Ontario. I mean, y'all not cold. Y'all not cold over there, right?
Oh, no, we're definitely cold there. I have about 5 inches of snow that I have to shovel. So
5 inches. 5 inches of snow. Oh,
yes.
My God.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not surprised. We had like 10, like a month ago. Dude, that was terrible. But listen, I hope you and your mom and your pops are doing okay. I just want to say God bless, Godspeed, and like also I do. When we last talked, you went through like surgery and you made it through, and I really am glad that you're doing okay. And
thank you so much.
And you were kind of like a little bit of celebrity on Canadian news.
Yeah, my graduation was quite something. Yes, I was interviewed by the national morning news here in Canada. So my anxiety then it was triggered, I have to say.
I see.
I had to do lots of breathing techniques, and humming to myself and being like, it's gonna be okay. But yeah, so that was something that came out of that.
I see.
Now I'm just trying to get a job, like a lot of people are, and hopefully something would come of that.
I mean, I'm still trying to find something like a little bit better, but I gotta.
I know it's hard. there. But you know what? I think in the right time, everything will fall into place.
Right.
You know?
We all gotta be patient. Listen,
Yeah, exactly.
thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Always remember where you're from, the roots that you grew up with, the people who taught you the ways on how the world is, and discovering and learning more about yourself, such as past accomplishments or the happy times. We are all stubborn. You know to ask for help. But you have a voice and you need to speak on and say it loud, proud, with a mic, video, phone call, or screaming out from your bedroom like a crazy person, like, ah! If you need help, if you need guidance, someone will listen and offer assistance. What my sis Carrise and I did was sharing our experience with how we dealt with our anxiety and giving out each other advices on how we deal with it. And in the end, we feel relieved to let it all out.